Alright, we'll get right to it. Welcome to the Game Changer Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah Bryant, and I got a hidden gem for y'all today. I got my brother Brandon. How you doing?
What's up, Elijah?
So, so you've been like flipping land for about a year now, right? Yeah, so like, what got you into like flipping houses, right? You did houses first, so what got you into real estate?
Ultimately, man, I had my back against the wall. You know, I was working at AT&T, and then I knew I wanted to get into real estate, so I quit my job. I was like, I'm just gonna jump all in. And then my wife was on YouTube. She seen this thing called Wholesaling from I forgot one of the guys on YouTube or whatnot.
What year is this?
This was 2018.
2018.
2018, yeah. So then after that, I'm like, man, is this even real? You know. So I started YouTube University. I probably spent a couple of months, man, just diving in, figuring out how do I do this. I was watching like Maxwell and all that stuff. And then I just started to make calls. No, I started to drive for dollars. And I was building lists, 50, 100 properties all over Tampa, Wesley Chapel, Day City.
Yeah.
And then I was just calling them. But 8 months, nothing. And I was like tired. I'm like, man, this is not working. I'm about to quit. Yeah. Whatever. But then in all honesty, I just felt in my spirit like, go drive behind your apartment building. So we did that. After like me feeling that for like 2 weeks, I'm like, let's just drive behind my apartment building. So I drove behind there, got the addresses. The next day, me and my wife wake up, pray a little bit, morning routine. Yeah. And then we go to, where did we go there? Where did we go? We cut to we went to Barnes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So we went to Barnes & Noble, and at that point, I'm still like, I don't feel like doing this. Mm-hmm. So at that point, my wife starts making calls, and she leaves voice messages. And someone calls us back, and they're like, hey, you want to,
Wait, I feel like you skipping parts.
Yeah,
so
possibly.
You was making calls, and it wasn't working.
Nah.
Like, how many calls did you make?
Hundreds of calls, man.
Hundreds, okay.
Yeah, maybe even like 1,000, honestly.
Yeah, because the reason why I say that is because a lot of people think, right, soon you get on the dialer, within a week you're supposed to get a deal or something. It doesn't work like that.
Nah, it's definitely, you gotta put in work, man. It's trial and error, you gotta get into the mud, So that's what we did. Drove around, made calls, nothing.
So you was making calls, right? And then you eventually was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a little break, and then you asked your girlfriend to step in. Yeah. And then what happened after that?
Yeah, I didn't even ask her to step in. She was like, she just did it. Yeah. She seemed like I was like tired of this, so she's just making these calls now at Barnes. And then
at Barnes & Nobles?
Yeah, at Barnes & Nobles.
Okay.
We got some coffee at the Starbucks. She's making calls. I'm over here complaining like this ain't gonna work. And she's making the calls, and then the guy called back because she was leaving voice messages.
Yeah.
Guy called back and said, hey, I received your call. I'm interested in selling. And she was kind of like shocked. We were both shocked. So we went over there in person, and we were just looking at the house. At this point, I already had like ideas of what houses were worth or whatnot. Yeah. I knew we needed under contract at least $100,000. So I'm talking to him, and he actually knew he was in real estate. Yeah. So he was kind of giving me game.
So he was an investor.
Yeah, so
the seller.
Yeah, he was in real estate for most of his life. Yeah. So he knew about contracts. He knew about all of that. So
why did he trust you? Why did he go with you?
Yeah, I really don't know, man. I guess we just built a good relationship. Building rapport is key. So we definitely built rapport in that house. I wasn't just going there, just trying to take pictures and look. I was doing that too, but I was having a conversation with him, building rapport. So I told him, listen, man, I need to be around $100,000. And he was like, I'll let you know. So the next day, he calls us, and he's like, listen, I can do 105. And I'm like, let's do it.
What was the comps like?
The comps were so the problem with this property, it was a sinkhole property, right? The comps were 250, but I knew I needed to get it low because it was a sinkhole, right? I didn't even know how low, but I knew if I got it around 100, I could probably sell it for 115 around there.
Okay.
All right, so
how did you find the buyer?
So probably 2 months before this, I was at a local art gallery in Tampa. We went over there, and there was a lot of investors.
Not to cut you off,
Yeah.
how'd you hear about the meeting? Was it like meetup.com, Facebook?
It was meetup.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, doing all this YouTube University, they tell you how to find buyers, a bunch of different ways, a lot of ways. One of the best ways is just meetups. You can go to your local REI events over in your local city. Just about every city has them. So in Tampa, there's like 3 different REIs. The TB REI, Tampa Bay REI, and then there's St. Pete and all that. So I just went to the Tampa Bay one, and it was like West Shore Plaza or whatnot. And then afterwards, I just went up to everybody. Started getting their cards. I got like 10 different investors, and one of them, said, hey, if you find any single properties, let me know. Literally. So I had his card, and the second I found out this was a single property, I'm like, ching ching. I just knew I needed to get it for a right price.
Yeah.
So he called me back and said he can do 105. I'm like, let's go. I actually had to work. My wife went, and she's the one that did all the contracts and all that.
Wow. Okay.
And again, he already knew all of this.
Yeah.
We didn't. So he was helping her fill out the contract.
What?
So yeah, it was kind of wild, man. Got that under contract, called the investor, told him, hey, I got the single property for 120. He's like, comes and looks at it. He talks me down. Again, this is my first time. There's no negotiation in real estate.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, I'll do 100. No, he's like, I'll do 105. That's what he said.
Yeah.
But I have it under contract for 105.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, 110. Or I might have said like 112 or something. He talked me down to 110. I was like, we can do 110. Literally right then and there, had the paper assignment agreement.
Yeah.
Like, signed that bad boy. He signed it. Week and a half later, had to check $5,000.
$5,000.
And the crazy part about that was I was about to get evicted from my house, my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed that check.
You needed that.
I needed that $5,000.
So I like that you said that, because I feel like, once your back is against the wall, like somehow God puts that deal or puts you in the right path, and all you have to do is take action.
100%.
What you and your wife did, you made those calls. Mm-hmm. Even though you probably stopped after a while, she picked up right after you.
Mm-hmm.
So you still working.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened. You made $5,000 from that deal, right?
Yep, and about 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, I made another $10,000 check. So once I seen the 5K was real, I'm like, we can do this.
The proof of concept.
Proof of concept. After that, I just went in, found another deal. This was a manufactured home, which is the first time I did like a mobile home kind of deal. And then closed at $10,000. That was like 3 weeks later, probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've been trying it for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did it take
8 months.
you? 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that 8 month, you got 2 back to back.
2 deals, back to back.
Did you convert over to land after that, or?
Yes, actually. Well, not purposely, because the guy that bought my mobile home deal, I knew that he would probably buy this lot, which was in the same neighborhood, and slap a mobile home on there.
Yeah.
So I seen this lot, I'm like, shoot, if I can just get this under contract at the right price, he'll probably just buy it.
Yeah.
So I called them up, put it under contract.
How'd you call them up?
So at this point, I was still doing, everything was manual. I was just phone down with my hand. And TruePeopleSearch.com.
TruePeopleSearch.com.
Yeah.
So you went on TruePeopleSearch.com to get the sellers of that lot, their phone number.
Correct.
So you could contact them.
Yeah.
And what did you ask them?
So I asked them, if they were interested in selling, because it was actually a tax delinquent lot.
Okay.
So
they're behind on their taxes.
Behind on taxes, and it was about to be auctioned within like 2 weeks. So I had to convince my buyer to pay off the taxes before he was buying it.
How much were the taxes?
They were like $5,000. Yeah, it was like $5,000. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So he paid it off. We put this all in an agreement, notarized, made sure that he was safe, and then that stopped the auction. And then like 2 weeks later, he closed on it.
And how much you made from that deal?
That deal was like $8,000, I think.
$8,000 in your first land deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got that just off of, getting that first mobile home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you thinking, like, there's a lot around the block.
Yeah.
He could just put another mobile home on it.
Exactly.
So let me try this lot. Okay. So now you're into the land space. Oh, were you focusing on land after that?
So at this point, no, I wasn't really doing anything I could find. I was just trying to get the money.
Yeah, you were just hustling.
That's it, I was just hustling. So I found there was a couple houses in Newport Richie. I found a vacant lot in Newport Richie.
Okay.
So I was just really doing everything.
Okay.
Whatever I could find at that point.
What are certain like early struggles that you had?
I guess staying consistent was a struggle because, you know, when you grow up the way we grow up, you don't really have all that money and, you know, you don't have all the resources and all that. Okay. So the second I got the $15,000, I just got excited, you know, and then I got comfortable. So really staying consistent and disciplined in real estate to continue to get those deals was hard. And then that was probably my biggest struggle.
That's most people's, you know, like the discipline, the continuously, no matter how much is in my bank account, I'm honestly broke if I don't get another deal for next month, right? Mm-hmm. That mindset, like I have to make these calls. I have to send out this text. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the mindset you had or didn't have, but now you are gaining.
Yes,
you know? 100%. How did you come across me?
Yeah, so...
Because wait, a little backstory behind that, right? As I'm closing deals, you were DMing me, and you know, you were consistently DMing me. And at first, I wasn't really like responding with like detailed messages back, right? I did see that you was hustling, right? I'm looking on your stories here and there, like seeing that, like when you posted one of your first deals, seeing sold, I'm like, wow, he really did it.
Yeah.
But like, how did you come across like my page?
Yeah, so how I actually found your page, I'm not really sure, but I seen that you were consistently closing deals left and right, and I'm like, man, like you grew up in New York, you're kind of like me, and you're like successful living in a high rise. So I'm like, man, what are you doing? And I'm watching your page, it's like you're closing land, sold. I'm like, so how in the world are you doing? So that's when I started DMing you. So I'm like, man, you know, I'm not really getting consistent deals doing houses. You're over here selling lots left and right. How are you doing? So I was DMing you. Really didn't get any traction with that, but I understand because, you know, you're busy. You know, at that point, people that are successful, you know, they're just busy. So
yeah, you know what actually had happened was you brought value, right? You told me that you was, you know, video recording and taking pictures. And I'm like, you know what? I want to start, you know, talking in front of the camera. So you bringing value, and then I exchanged it right back. You know, we was having masterminds.
100%.
We grew together, right? Over conversations. So
I seen that you were closing, and then one of your deals, you kind of slipped up. You left the address on there, and I seen that it was Palm Bay.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me go in Palm Bay, and I realized, you know, there's a lot of lots over there.
A lot.
They're just scattered all over the place, and I didn't even know what a scattered lot was.
Yeah.
So I just literally started, I looked up a lien list.
Can you explain to them what a scattered lot is real quick?
Yeah, so scattered lots are lots that you can build, like single family homes inside of neighborhoods that weren't finished developing.
Yeah.
I believe that's what it is pretty much. But I seen that, you know, there was a lot of those over there. So I pulled up a lien list, and there was this guy who owned 2 of them, and he had liens on both of them. So I called him up, and I put them under contract for $20,000 a piece. Because I seen that same way I was trying to do. I didn't really know how to run comps on lots.
Yeah.
But I seen that there was lots selling all over the place for like $25,000, $30,000 and whatnot. I didn't even know that, you know, builders need to be even lower than that.
Yeah.
So at first I'm like, man, what do I do? But I put it under contract, 20 a piece, and then I just started hitting up all these builders.
How did you hit up the builders?
So how I hit the builders up. I seen that there was LLCs in PropStream, so I used PropStream to find most of my deals, run comps and all that. And in the property details, you would see the builder's company or whatever, like Synergy Homes or whatever homes it was.
Yeah.
So this was a smaller builder. He only probably had like 30, 40, you know, under his pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just went to Sunbiz, looked up his business, seen his name, and then again, True People Search. So that's how I was doing it, you know, at first. Now you can just, you know, if it's a bigger company, you can go onto the website and it says, we'll buy your land. You can just put your info in there and they'll hit you up. But this True People Search, I found his name, called him up. I said, hey, I see you're buying lots. Your company, you know, you're a builder. I was asking him. He was like, yeah, we're buying lots. And at this point, I had like 5 of those builders that wanted it.
Like that was looking.
That was looking at them. So they were all hitting me up, 23, 24. And then this guy is like...
And you got them at 20 a piece.
20 a piece, yeah. So finally one of the guys is like 25. And I was actually in West Virginia shooting a wedding. So we were traveling at this point. We were shooting a wedding, And while we're shooting the wedding, I'm over here emailing all these builders. Pretty much have them in kind of a bidding war or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then one was like, I'll give you 25 for it. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. So I went with him. You know, he was a good dude. So.
And did you close multiple deals with him?
Yeah.
Okay, because what I do is once I find that builder, I close a deal with him. Whatever he's looking for, that's what I start searching.
Yeah.
Right? So I lock in with that one builder. So that's why I try to teach people. You know, you don't need 1,000 builders.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have 600 builders in my database, I only use under 10.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I want to really laser focus on exactly what they want.
Yeah.
So did you do the same
With
thing?
him, yeah, I sold him 2 lots. But then he pretty much stopped buying lots. At this point, a lot of the builders in Palm Bay weren't really buying.
Yeah.
So I had to go to other markets. And then, so I pretty much restarted that process again.
So you did the same process, you know, of reaching out using lien lists, right? You was giving tax delinquent.
Well, at this point, I switched it up because by this point, me and you were cool. And we were talking, and you were telling me how you hit up your buyers, see what they want, what they're paying.
Yeah.
So I started doing that. Not even with just land, but all of them.
And how
Land and houses, yeah. I'll hit up the buyers, see what they're looking for, see what their budget is, see what their criteria is. And once I know what their criteria is and how much they're willing to spend, then I can go back to the sellers list that I have. So at that point, the same list, lien list, tax delinquent list, any kind of list, really. And then call them up and start making offers. If it's below my buyer's price, bam, what I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many deals did you do so far?
When it comes to lands, maybe like 7 or 8.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah, the last, last month I closed 2 of them, maybe like $15,000. I'm closing on another one in a week. That one alone is $15,000. That's actually gonna be my biggest assignment so far.
And how much is that one?
15,000.
15,000.
On one lot, on one land.
And right now people think, the economy or high interest rates, you can't close lots of deals anymore. And you're getting a $15,000 check in a week.
And I think the seller's in bankruptcy, so that would be the list that I had. Which I didn't even know that. My title agent just told me that. So wow, okay.
So the lien list, okay.
Yeah, it's cool, man. 15,000 is gonna be a nice one.
15,000. Dang, I wish, let's clap to that. 15,000.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That is exciting, because most people, they don't make that anymore, right? And this is just one deal.
Mm-hmm.
You still could take that 15,000, put it back into the marketing, and double that, triple that.
That's the plan.
Right. So, what advice would you give somebody that's just starting out?
Don't quit. Don't quit. Stay positive, stay focused, stay hungry, and stay consistent.
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency, man. Because once you start and you get the ball rolling, and you get that first deal, it's not gonna stop.
It's not.
The only thing that can stop is you. If you stop yourself, then you might have to get the ball rolling again for yourself. But just stay consistent. Do not stop. Keep going, and network. Build relationships. Really get out there. Don't stay home. Get out there. Get out there. God will put people in your path, and just everything will work.
Yeah, definitely consistency, right? That's what I tell people all the time. As long as you're consistently marketing, eventually you're gonna get something. So even if you go bad a couple months, right, a month or 2, you could get a deal that covers the next 6 months.
Yeah.
So just staying consistent. And then you said networking, right? Meeting the right people, they're giving you different ideas, they're telling you different things that you could potentially take action on and make a lot of money from. Yeah. Like that's one of my goals of 2023 is collaboration and networking, meeting new people, because one person, one handshake could really change your life.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a fact, man. Being consistent and networking is very key, man. Because 15,000 to do something for you, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Take my money back, throw some of it into marketing. I also started text messaging. That's one thing that you told me. So if it wasn't for networking with you, shaking your hand, and you telling me, hey, start using having a text message, the last 30 years I went out, I got.
Damn.
So you might have to spend more money sending them text messages out, but you might spend $500 to make 15,000.
Right.
That's a
It's a no-brainer.
That's a no-brainer. And, like you said, if you go cold for a little bit, text messaging is really good because you're just sending them out. And I think one of the deals that I got, actually, they hit me up. They responded to me like a month later. So I was sending out messages, and then this guy literally a month later was like, hey, do you still want to buy my lot?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, sir.
Right.
And I started texting him, and that was it. Got a deal off of that.
Yeah, because a lot of times with text messaging, right, it's a easier way to connect with somebody without having to spend the time on the phone.
Yeah.
So they actually prefer that. Some people prefer text, some people prefer being called.
Yeah. You definitely gotta do both because some people don't like being texted at all.
Yeah.
I'll text people, they don't even reply to the text message, they call me. And I have to pick up the phone and then I ask them, what lot is this again?
Right.
Like, you text me, I'm like, yes sir, but I use this messaging platform that sends out mass text messages. I'm saying we're buying multiple lots every month. So what was your address again?
Right. And that's one thing you was always good with, the acquisition side. The speaking to the sellers, coming up with key phrases to get them to understand and trust you that they want to do business with you now, especially when they hear you over the phone. So what are some plans you have, going for the future?